So after the smashing success of the first season of Love Life, I would have to imagine you had a plan going into season 2 before we even got to this point, or was this something that just happened organically?
I think it definitely happened organically. I mean, I think we knew it was one of those situations where I think we kind of went into season 2 with no specific plan. As far as, you know, who the character was, that was really all kind of once we cast William Jackson Harper and started working, you know, with a writer's room to put everything together. But it was more generally just kind of always stemming from this initial idea, which was like, okay, every, you know, if we're lucky enough to do more than one season, we're going to reset every time and we're going to follow someone new and we're going to explore each of these characters, you know, as deeply as we can and as authentically as we can in this kind of self-contained romantic comedy before moving on to someone new. And so yeah, it was sort of, you know, it's like when you say like, you know what you don't know or something. It's you know, I think we knew that we wanted it to be pushed in a certain direction, and then everything kind of flowed from there.
It's the toughest part.
Yeah. Anyway,
sorry. No worries. Is the toughest part, and this is for Rachelle and Bridget, and Sam, you can chime in at the end if you'd like, is the toughest part striving for that authenticity when you're trying to do a show like this?
I mean, yeah, for sure. I mean, I would say for me, and sorry, I just went first. To me, that's like always the kind of like the goal is to have authentic scenes. So like it's always like part of my process is like, okay, do we believe anything that's happening in this scene? So I think like it's always really hard to come up with stories and fresh stories and twists, and like people give their own stories in the writer's room, and someone got someone pregnant and that was the impetus of one of the stories, but then at some point you have to vet it for the character and the characters, you know, that you've invented. And, you know, I think that is a really hard thing. But I think that's one of the things we really hold ourselves to as a show is just, you know, would this person really do this in this moment, just down to like a granular level.
Rachelle?
I feel with dating stories, like it's honestly the easiest to be the most authentic because crazy crap happens in your dating life. And it seems insane on TV, but like, all this stuff happens to people, you know, and it's so it's really twisted. But I think, the stories from the writer's room, all our excellent writers, like that's how you get that authenticity because it happens to real people.
Anything to add, Sam?
No, I think I agree wholeheartedly with everything Bridget and Rachelle say, and you know that was just always the aim of the tone from the beginning was kind of how can we make something that feels, you know, big and fun and commercial, but also, you know, reminds people of their own lives and feels like our world and not like some other rom-com world.
Now, you have to admit, in this show, first season and the second season, and I have been lucky enough to see both, and I love both seasons equally for different reasons. Wonderful job, you guys.
Thank you.
But you've opened up Pandora's box, so I blame you for this. Dating stories. Were there dating stories that you guys went through that were just too crazy that you just had to put it aside? And if so, could you share one of them?
I don't know I think if it was crazy enough, you probably want something like that in the show. You know, I wish there was a better answer. I don't know if you guys remember anything.
I have one example, but it's from season 1, so I don't know if you want to hear it. But
I want to hear it. I want to hear it more than you even possibly know.
One of the writers told us about a one-night stand she had, and after they went home, sex, the guy said, "How does it go, Sam?" The guy said that his mother was in the room with them, like the ghost of.
Yeah, it became like it was someone that went home with a guy, and it became, you know, parts of it ended up as it was Danny Two Phones episode of her being in this guy's apartment, but someone had gone home with a guy who then at a certain point was convinced that the spirit of his mother was in the apartment with them, and there was honestly a moment where we kind of were going to put that in, and it was in there for a second, but then I think ultimately it sort of ended up going in a different direction. But that was probably definitely the craziest story was the you know, you don't expect the paranormal to come into Love Life.
I feel like Rachelle has even a crazier story she wants to tell.
No, I don't at all. I think, man, we used everything that people had, like, you know, just like, you know, and weaved it in somehow. Like, and I don't know, because like all the different like types of writers, they all had very unique dating experiences. Like, and I think that really helped. Like the college story, you know, came from a writer, and I can't even remember if he still had this line in episode 2, but it, you know, just like what stuck with me as a wild thing to say is like thanking someone for like not taking advantage of you, like, oh, you're a good guy. And it's like, when I heard that, I'm just like, that's a very interesting thing for Marcus to kind of spin out about. You know, he didn't spin out that much, you know, because, you know, but I don't know. We all do messed up stuff in our 20s and and 30s and 40s. So and I think yeah, and I think it's all in there.
I love how Rachelle just kept adding to that 20s, 30s,
Yeah,
40s.
Yeah.
Today, we all do
Yeah.
crazy stuff. Now, in terms of casting, I have to imagine all three of you have to be thrilled. And we'll start with Rachelle and kind of work to Sam and with Bridget on this one. Just if you care to comment about what a find William Jackson Harper was for this particular storyline, because I think he's the perfect person to pull this story off, and he did.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, he's just that guy. Like he's smart and charming and witty and like all those things, but also not, I guess, like not like your typical lead. And so like to me, that's what makes him the most like, you know, perfect for something like this, because it's also, we talk about authenticity, like I want to be believable. Like I don't want it to be, I don't know, it just felt so right for this world to be, you know, a book editor, to you know, just have this like kind of I don't know, can I call it actor cute? It's like just like it's this cute, nice guy that you just want to see win, you know. So I think when you imagine Will and then you imagine Marcus, like it just makes sense.
Sam?
Yeah, no, I think, you know, just off of what Rochelle's saying, like we had been, you know, we're fans of his from before working with him, and he's just such an incredible and talented actor. And I think we were really excited at the opportunity to kind of build this character study around him and try to kind of, you know, him as an actor, trying to kind of cater this story to his abilities as an actor, and you know, to take advantage of the fact that he's so likable that the character can maybe do some stuff that's less likable or a little crazier, and you still love Marcus because Will is just so winning and charming, and yeah, I think, you know, it's just, for me, it's always about the casting. It just always is such a huge part of it, and I think especially with this genre where it's more character driven, and they're, you know, those are the load bearing walls, you know what I mean? There's nothing, if you don't believe the connections between the characters, if you don't believe the performances, it's not, you know, there's no like case or, you know, person in the hospital or anything else that you can lean on. That's it. And so I think we just felt really lucky to be working with him, and you know, being able to kind of build it around him.
Bridget?
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to add to that, but I just think the show relies on, I mean, it doesn't work if you don't go deep, I think. And I think Will is such a deep person. It's like the layers, just that everything that's going on in his face at all times is just so compelling. And so I think without someone like that, the show is a little thin. And so I think we're just really, really lucky to have him. I think we were very fortunate.
For fans of season 1, what do you hope they take from season 2?
I think, you know, I hope that people who enjoyed season 1, I think it's an interesting and kind of a fun thing, right? Where like, you know, the show is following a whole new character, but you know, we really wanted it to be something that would resonate with people who liked season 1, and at the same time, you don't have to have seen season 1 in order to be able to watch and enjoy season 2. You know, they are kind of self-contained, even though there are ways that they connect and cross over. And I think ultimately we wanted to, you know, to kind of, on the one hand, give viewers, you know, a similar experience in terms of the tone and the feeling and the ideas that we're exploring or the ways that we're looking at the world. But on the other hand, push it a lot further and go a lot deeper and try to explore things in a way that, you know, felt richer and you know, to just kind of crack it open again. I don't know.